Today we shall be talking about cotton candy machines, Robo JetFloss and Robo JetFloss.pro. We will discuss the delivery set, the machine description and setup, its operating principle, commonly made operational mistakes, and its maintenance. After this webinar, you won't have any questions left on this equipment, so let's get started. The delivery set includes the machine itself, with all its innovations and technical improvements, and a floss pan. One little clarification on my part. This floss pan, though constructively little, differs from previous floss pan models, supplied with twister, focus, monster, and others. Other key elements are a silicone collar, silicone band, power cord, and what is very important, an operation manual. This is what we are going to look at very closely today. Should you have any questions left, go to the manual and you will find all the answers there. Heaps of information collected for half a year, and there should be no questions left. Now, in short, about the design. What does this awesome machine consist of? First of all, there is a spinner head that rotates at a very high speed. As you know, the integral part of the spinner head is the heat element, coupled with a specific diffusing band with tiny openings, through which sugar spins out and turns into sugar floss. There's also a fixed stator, which shapes the airflow, and the rotor, or impeller, which creates a stream of air lifting the floss up. So, first of all, plug the machine into a power source. This is an absolutely standard sugar plug. The next important element is the silicone band. This band determines the airflow power, which lifts the sugar floss up. Why is it necessary? Why adjust the airflow? If operating indoors, the raising force should be minimal. That is why block the airflow rate significantly. Outdoors, when we are not limited by the ceiling heights, and when there's a relatively strong wind, it is recommended to either not use the silicone band or close the openings minimally. An experienced operator will very quickly get the feel of the machine in the process of work. Once again, this silicone band is part of the delivery set. I'm shutting down some openings here, leaving below 1.5 centimeters. Another important element is the pan, an inherent part of any cotton candy machine. One more component is a silicone collar. It seals the spacing between the pan and the stator hermetically. We are almost ready for the operation. Let me talk a bit about safety. During operation, we recommend wearing goggles because sugar particles thrown out of the head may get into the eyes, bringing a lot of unpleasant consequences. That is why, no matter where you work, indoors or outdoors, use goggles. Next, never add sugar when the spinner head is running. That is why, before you add sugar, stop the spinner, turn off the machine, and wait for its full stop. Only after that you may add sugar. Do not touch the spinner head or its elements while it is turning. It may be very hot. It rotates at a high speed and may cause injury. It is not recommended to fill the head full of sugar. If you overfill, sugar crystals may get thrown out and hit you or your customers. We recommend filling the head 3/4 full. This amounts to approximately 350-400 grams of sugar. As you see, after adding sugar, I manually rotate the head back and forth to distribute the sugar evenly in the head. to lower vibration during operation. The next important attribute are sticks. We recommend long sticks, like 60 cm long sticks for Robo JetFloss. They are very user-friendly for spinning big servings of candy floss. Our machine allows to spin unlimited size servings. We are not bound by the pan diameter. It is us who decide the size of the floss serving. Another attribute as important as the sticks, but not part of the delivery set and sold separately, is the so-called no-snow unit. I will show now what I am going to do with it and explain further what it is needed for. Before starting the machine, make sure that shipping nuts are loosened to eliminate excessive vibration during operation. Make sure the chassis rests freely on the spring-loaded supports, and then start the unit by turning the main switch and the heat switch on. You can see that I have already set the voltage. The optimal value for indoor operation is about 150 volts, 70, 80 volts for North America, Canada, Japan, and so on. This will ensure the balance between the product quality and the machine capacity. The capacity of both Robo JetFloss and Robo JetFloss.pro is up to 5 kg per hour. It is recommended to wet the sticks before the operation. This will ease attaching the initial floss layer onto the stick. I am using no snow device now. This device is very helpful at the beginning and end of the operation session. Why use it? During the first seconds of floss making, the floss starts floating around chaotically. No flow helps to easily prevent it. Actually, you can use anything for it, either a tennis racket or whatever, depending on your creativity. There isn't any floss yet seen. Let's wait. A bit later I will tell you what a quick start means. How you can have cotton candy coming out in 20 seconds after starting the machine. Our candy floss starts to form. I'm removing our fantastic no-snow unit and begin wrapping the floss. How am I doing it? I am holding the stick from 1 to 30 centimeters over the spinner and roll it very fast. At that, I move the stick back and forth along its entire length, so that the floss is distributed evenly. The higher the stick over the head, the fluffier and bulkier the serving will be. The lower the stick, the more compact, shapely cocoon you get. It happens because the low airflow smoothes the floss over. A standard size serving is ready. Now I'm making it bigger to show that we are free to spin any size cotton candy we want. It will be very problematic to do the same with a regular candy floss machine. Another 30 seconds and this size serving is unattainable on a regular unit. Now I'm sort of blending the floss over the stick. At that, the airflow coming out of the turbine kind of supports the floss itself on the flow, facilitating my job. Here's the trick. When you make cotton candy, you do not have to stay doubled up over the pan, staring at it all the time. In other words, even if you work all day, you will feel heavenly. No backaches, no fatigue. Okay, the first serving is ready. I'm starting a second one. Please note that there are neither stabilizers nor clips in the delivery set. They are not needed for these units. All the more, they will even hinder the process. So don't be surprised. To turn the machine off, I first turn off the heat switch. We need to wait a little bit until the head cools down. It will take 30-60 seconds. I covered the head again with no snow, so that the snow floss doesn't fly around. Okay, there is no any flying snow, and I can turn the machine off. I'm going to add some sugar into the spinner head. Let's wait until the head stops. Caution, the head is still hot. It hasn't cooled down yet. Okay, I have added all the sugar. Now let's see how quick start option works. But before, I will be discussing Robo JetFloss and Robo JetFloss Pro distinctive features. Robo JetFloss Pro differs from a non-Pro version by this quick start button option and a more powerful heat element, making it more stable at lower voltage. It is important if you work outdoors with unstable power source or a generator. Let's put it this way, you have some advantage over competitors. With significant voltage drops, you still will be able to make cotton candy be 200, 180 or even 160 volts. Quick Start button is located on the control panel and permits to supply maximal voltage to the heater, even though the motor is stopped. You can see it by the voltmeter. Once the button is pressed, the voltmeter will deviate till its maximum voltage of 220 volts. This allows to quickly hit the spinner head. There are a lot of nuances here, but they usually disappear with practice and experience. If we press the Quick Start button longer than necessary, the floss stocking will be somewhat unstable. That is why the button should not be kept longer than 15-20 seconds. As soon as you see the first snow flowing out, drop the button. Otherwise, the head overheats, and you will need 2 minutes to cool down the head for the right form of your floss stocking. Let's turn the main and the heat switches on. Check the operating voltage, 150 volts. Further on, I hold Quick Start button for some time. The floss has started flowing out. It is seen that I have kept the button pressed for a long time, and the quality of the so-called stocking is stable, no different from that of coming out of the unit without this option. I would one more time draw your attention to how to wind cotton candy onto a stick operating a vertical airflow machine. You hold the stick right over the head and quickly spin it. At that, don't forget to move the stick back and forth for an even distribution of the floss stocking on the stick. You may see that I am raising the stick high enough and the floss goes up higher than a meter, and the cocoon is getting uneven. Dropping the stick down, I get the airflow smoothing the cocoon and properly shaping it. To turn off the machine, first turn off the heater. Keep winding cotton candy for a few seconds. What happens when we turn off the heater? Sugar flakes start flying over. It is impossible to catch them. Here's when no snow comes handy. Now we are going to see one more trick you can do with the machine. It is called a snake. This is one of the advantages of a vertical airflow machine, which you cannot attain operating a conventional horizontal airflow machine. You can wrap the floss from a distance. At that, you can do your own show and entertain the public, dance for example. To be a success with this trick, I need to maximally smother the airflow. The ceiling here is not high, and my cotton candy will definitely hit the ceiling without my getting what I want. so I smother the airflow with this silicone band. This is what we were talking about earlier. I left a 15mm gap below, and now I'm closing it completely. Most important is to distribute the band evenly around the stator. If on the one side it will close more than on the other side, the airflow will be irregular, and the floss will fly either in one direction or the other, depending on where there is more airflow. Let's put the silicone collar back again. I am adding sugar in the spinner once again. The head is hot now. To avoid burns, I help myself with a stick to distribute sugar evenly. Further, already familiar steps: turning the machine on, taking a stick, turning the heater on without adjusting any voltage, which is around 150 volts. And again, we may use quick start button to be faster. You will see that cotton candy does not go up high without reaching the ceiling. At the same time, I'm still able to pull it out of the machine. The steps are the same. I rapidly roll the stick and carefully watch the floss flow, which should be whole, unbroken. Outdoors, where the humidity is higher, to do this trick is much easier. Candy fluff will be a bit heavier and will stick better. It is possible to step 5 or 10 meters away from the machine, or even more, if you have enough experience. Once again, neither of the existing classic cotton candy machines will allow you to do this trick. In other words, operating our machine is not a routine work anymore. It allows you to show creativity, be enjoyable and fascinating. You can see me pulling it out of the pan. Carnival is a highly productive machine intended for various events. Anticipating your question, can we make flowers on this machine? The answer is yes. Technically, it's possible, but not easy practically, as it requires experience and skill. For all that, this machine is meant for making a lot of product, and money. As you know, making flowers is a slow process. Money-wise, it does not bring much profit, being no different price-wise from a regular serving. Instead, you can make 5 big, or 7 or 8 smaller cocoons for the same time. As you can see, my cotton candy tears. It happens because there is not enough humidity in the room. However, with experience, you can be a success with a snake even indoors. Let us turn the heater off. I'm going to use no snow once again. Let us wait a bit while the head is cooling down. No floss coming out now. I'm going to place the silicone band back in its previous position and, at the same time, will show you what is happening with the pan and what it is needed for. It may be seen that there is some sugar buildup over the whole perimeter of the pan. This is the sugar that failed to turn into the floss, flew out, and settled on the periphery. So the pan's aim is to block the flying sugar and prevent it from flying onto the customers and yourself, interfering with your job. I'm returning the band back to its default position, more comfortable for indoor operation. And we will see in detail what happens if no snow is not used, and what happens when the head is overheated. Let us place the collar back on the stator. Add more sugar. And distribute it evenly with a stick, because the head is hot. Now we turn the machine and heater on. I am intentionally setting the voltage high, at a practically maximum value. And see what happens. The floss starts flying out quite fast. I am adding voltage. And my productivity is rising. It is seen that the flow is very dense, starting to turn ropey. I am adding voltage and my productivity is rising. It is seen that the flow is very dense, starting to turn ropey. Cotton candy at that is not coming down evenly. As you see, the floss starts circling around the cap because it fails to form on the stick and turns into this shape. It is seen that the flow is not wide as was previously, but narrow as a result of overheating. I return the voltage down to its basic value. Once the voltage is reduced, it will take significant time for the head to cool down, 3 or more minutes, before the flow is stabilized. It's easy to turn the knob to overheat. The productivity will rise, but it will take time to get back to the initial stage. You see here that no matter some time passed, the floss is still badly shaped. To speed up the process, I turn off the heater completely, and then, after the head is cooled down, turn the heater back on again to show that stabilizing the voltage leads to a good result. It is impossible to catch the flying snow with a stick, therefore we'll use no snow. The head has cooled down a bit. I remove all the sugar buildup and turn the heater back on. The voltage is 150 volts. After a few seconds, the sugar floss will start flowing out in a more stable way. At that, in the beginning, here comes up the snow again. I recommend here using no snow for 10-15 seconds while the snow may be floating around. We keep rotating the stick, wrapping the floss. It is seen that the flow is fluffy, not as dense as before, controllable, stable in being wound onto the stick without any chance of slipping from it. In general, it must be understandable how to operate the machine. It takes little time. The customers who stop by your place for some cotton candy can easily master the operation. Thus, you may offer them to make a serving for themselves. A regular machine requires more practice and training. With our machine, you need 10-15 seconds for teaching a customer, and he will be able to spin a serving on his own. And you, having pocketed the money, will get a lot of pleasant emotions. Once again, after you turn the heater and the machine off, there will be 10-15 seconds during which you will be catching sugar flakes. That's it with the machine operation. But I will keep it running for some time to cool down the head. And now we are passing over to maintenance. What is maintenance? First of all, it is daily cleaning of the pan and silicone parts, silicone band and color from sugar buildup, which accumulates during operation. Otherwise, the silicone parts will soon get inoperable. Cleaning the pan, first of all, is aesthetics and sanitation requirements. Cleaning should be performed regularly after every daily operation. In principle, during the day, you may remove excessive sugar buildup with a stick. The head has more or less cooled down, and I am turning the machine off. Now we'll do the disassembly and view each and every part separately. What is maintenance needed for? First of all, the key for successful operation and shapely floss stocking will be a clean spinner head. If the machine is not cleaned for a long time, it will keep working, though the quality of the outcoming product will be much lower. In other words, you either lose in the productivity or in the candy floss quality, since the stocking will be patchy with speckles of sugar flakes. That is why we recommend cleaning the band on a regular basis, depending on the level of your activity. Here I will be showing how to take the machine apart. First, we remove the stator and silicone parts. All the surfaces should be wiped with a clean, damp cloth only. Silicone parts can be soaked and washed in warm water until the sugar dissolves. No detergent is required. Before disassembly, unplug the machine. For disassembly, you will need a flat screwdriver and a wrench. The first part to be removed will be the stator. All the screws that need to be unscrewed have a screwdriver slot, and even if it is clogged with sugar during operation, it is easy to clean it. Just run the screwdriver through the slot. Thus, there is no special instrument needed for the maintenance. The stator is fixed to the chassis with 4 screws. I have not operated this machine for a long time, but the stator is clean enough. If it is covered with a lot of sugar buildup, it is recommended to soak it in warm water and then let it dry. The next step is the spinner head disassembly. The 3 screws on the cap have slots as well and are easy to unscrew. During a long operation, the spinner cap may stick to the band. For disengaging, it is recommended to gently tap on it with a plastic or rubber item. There is some sugar left in the machine. To remove it, I carefully turn the machine upside down to shake the sugar out. I have removed the sugar debris. Now it is easier to proceed. We are unscrewing the butterfly nut, which covers current-carrying heater terminals. We need a wrench here to release the nuts which fix heater terminals. One more warning. Unplug the machine before you do the maintenance. Heater terminals are under power. Use the same technique here. By gently tapping on the band with a plastic or rubber item, remove it. Sugar tends to stick objects together. By tapping, I'm dividing them. Take a look at the heater after operation. In principle, it is in a normal working condition, letting me keep working full shift or even longer without disassembly. By full shift, I mean a non-stop operation when customers come by all the time. After a week's work without regular cleaning, the heater and the openings in the diffusing band will be clogged so bad that the productivity will go down, plus the floss will be low quality. How clean them? It is very easy. We'll need tray and water. In principle, we may use water used for sticks. You are free to use any cotton candy flavors and colors with our machine. I am not using them now, but you are free to use any. However, there is one nuance you will face sooner or later. Pure sugar is less clogging. If you make active use of cotton candy flavors, the heater and the diffusing band will be clogged faster. If so, cleaning should be done on a daily basis. Important. The heater has spots where it is connected to current-carrying wires. That is why do not dip it fully in water. I personally use a smaller tray with 2-3 centimeter water level, where I soak the heater and the diffusing band spot by spot and then pull them out and clean more thoroughly. Let's keep going. There's only an impeller left. It has 3 screws as well. It makes sense to remove the impeller only in case you need to check or replace the brush assembly. During operation, it happens that small parts of sugar stick to current collector rings. Thus, for protecting brushes and their longer lifetime, it is recommended to clean the rings mechanically, once in season or less frequently. The impeller has been removed, and we now see a window through which we can get to the collector rings. If needed, we can also replace the brushes. Pulling everything back goes in the reverse order. There should be no problem with it. Each part goes back in its place, and there should be no surprises here.